For decades, the authorities have been toying with what to do with this dormitory community. There have been plans, promises, and proposals. Should it be a city? Should it be a municipality? Or should it be a parish? In 2003, one of those proposals was fulfilled. Portmore became a municipality. But that wasn't enough. Now deceased Mayor George Lee wanted Portmore to become a parish. However, that plan failed to materialize. But in 2007, then Prime Minister Bruce Golding put the idea back on the front burner. Again, those plans went nowhere. Then came this JLP manifesto promise in August 2020.
Portmore will be our 15th parish.
After the election dust settled and Andrew Holness re-elected, those plans were fast-tracked. A joint select committee of Parliament for Portmore to become the 15th parish was formed.
To consider and report on the proposal to make Portmore City Municipality the 15th parish of Jamaica.
But there were more questions than answers. Where would be the boundaries? Which community would be the capital?
What development does a parish designation will accrue that the Portmore City Municipality denies?
We are looking at other infrastructural improvements, not just talk about roads.
You're not going to get any more money, you're not going to get nothing at all. When you look at St. Thomas, St. Mary, Hanover, all those parishes, right, it is based on the amount of roads that they have. And their PR funding, right, the parochial revenue fund, right, is minuscule.
Residents were more concerned about what they described as neglect and poor infrastructure in Portmore.
You need a hospital, you need a market, you need a cemetery.
In case of a fire, you have one fire station in Portmore that's in Waterford.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness again promised that a hospital would be built in Portmore when the municipality becomes a parish. However, there was disquiet. The parliamentary opposition believed the plans to make Portmore the 15th parish was solely politically motivated. In fact, Councillor for the Greater Portmore North Division, Gary Nicholson, called for the government to let the people decide.
For the upcoming local government election, for the ballots that will be presented to the people of Portmore, the question is asked on the ballot whether they support or does not support a 15th parish.
Fast forward to February 2022, and the country has been given the clearest indication yet that Portmore could become the island's 15th parish, the first place that would be granted parish status in Jamaica in 155 years.
We utilize the available technology to ensure that we had maximum participation. Madam Speaker, the general consensus after exhausting all the opportunities is that Portmore should be Jamaica's 15th parish.
Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. The motion is approved.
I'm Kalisha Williams reporting from TVJ Studios. The RJRGLEANER virtual town hall begins now. Standby studio and cue.
Good evening and welcome to the first in a series of town hall meetings for the year. I'm Janella Precious. A special welcome to our viewers on OneSpotMedia.com, TVJ's YouTube channel, JNN, and the Gleaner Online, as well as our listeners on Power 106 and Radio Jamaica. Our focus this evening is on the plans to designate Portmore the 15th parish. And joining us in studio, we have the Deputy Mayor of Portmore, Alric Campbell. And sitting next to him is the Member of Parliament for East Central St. Catherine, Orlando Terrelong. Member of Parliament for Southeast St. Catherine, Robert Miller. President of the Greater Portmore Joint Council, Jeffeth Williams. And we also have a panel on Zoom, and we were hoping to join the chairman of the Joint Select Committee, Dr. Andrew Wheatley, but we are having some technical difficulties. He is actually in Cuba, and we will continue trying to reach him. But we also have urban planner Dr. Carol Archer, as well as the Member of Parliament for Southern St. Catherine, Fitz Jackson. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we also want to hear from you, our viewers, and you can share comments on WhatsApp 876-381-0072 and follow the conversation using the hashtag Portmore Parish Plans. Now, our reporter Kirk Wright is currently in Portmore, and he will also be taking questions from the public. Now, I want to start with a question, gentlemen, on the issue of politics. Unfortunately, this entire debate about Portmore becoming a 15th parish has taken a political turn. And I'm going to put this question to you, Mr. Terrelong. Initially, I wanted to put it to Dr. Wheatley. But there is a suggestion. In fact, how do you respond to a suggestion that the JLP is positioning itself to dominate St. Catherine on both the national and local government level?
What I would say to that is it's a very myopic way of looking at the prosperity of Jamaica and the prosperity of Portmore and its people. As a Member of Parliament, I'm proud to represent Portmore. When persons think of Portmore, they don't think of St. Catherine because Portmore stands in and of itself. And this is part of the reason why Portmore is ready to become the 15th parish of Jamaica. You're talking about more than 200,000 persons. Portmore has more inhabitants than 8 present parishes in Jamaica. Portmore also has more constituencies than 4 parishes in Jamaica. The time is right for Portmore to stand on its own as a parish. This would mean greater financial autonomy for Portmore in terms of its growth and development, and it would also give us a chance in the 60th year of Jamaica as a growing nation to set the tone going forward in our national development. The last time a parish was created in Jamaica was hundreds of years ago. I believe it was 1867. And what we've seen is that legally, there is no set criteria or prerequisite to say that, oh, you must have a cemetery, you must have a parish, you must have a hospital, you must have a market, and all those things. There's absolutely none. If you look at how parishes have been created and across Jamaica over the years since the time of the English, we've had 7 parishes, we've had 22 parishes, we've had 15 parishes, we've had 14 parishes, and the move continues with no set prerequisite. So this argument is absolutely, I think it's very, it's very defeatist. So as a government, we believe that in making Portmore the 15th parish, it will actually enhance the growth and development of Portmore and do great things for her residents.
Alric?
Well, as you will know, or may not know, the 2016 local government elections ended with St. Catherine, 21 councillors for the PNP, 20 for the JLP. And so 10 of those 20 councillors from the PNP side, 10 of the 21 are from Portmore. And so if Portmore is removed from the St. Catherine scenario, it would therefore mean that automatically the JLP would have the majority of the seats in Greater St. Catherine, that is Spanish Town, at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. So politics is at play. It is not the only thing at play, though. We believe, too, that the consultation that has been had with the residents, Portmore, the people of Portmore are accustomed to participation in the decisions. And the consultative meetings that were held online, I was at the first one, and only 6 persons got to contribute. And we are saying, as councillors within the municipality, that we should ask the people. If the people say yes, we have to agree, but at least give them the opportunity. And we say the perfect example is coming up at local government elections for the question to be put.
I'm going to go back to that, the consultation aspect in just a minute, but Portmore became a municipality in 2003 under the PNP administration. But there is a view that the process was not complete. So that very same issue that you speak of with the councillors sitting on both St. Catherine as well as the Portmore council. I'm going to call it council, please excuse me. And then you have that long-standing issue of the boundaries. And that issue spans decades. I don't know if Mr. Jackson wants to come in at this point because he would have been part of the administration back then. Mr. Jackson, shouldn't it be something that your party should take some responsibility for where we are now in terms of the discussion?
Good evening, my colleagues and participating, and you, Madam Host, and your listeners. Two points I'll raise. One, the government is yet to present one dege benefit that will accrue to the residents of Portmore by merely making it a parish or designating a parish. Just one. In that regards, name me any benefit that is being denied or will be denied if it is not named or tagged parish. We are yet to provide that answer. In respect to the 2003 development that has occurred, what it is important for us to understand what the people of Portmore had sought to have in the very beginning. The genesis of it was because the St. Catherine Parish Council was preoccupied with the rest of St. Catherine, and Spanish Town and Portmore rather felt neglected. As a member of Parliament for a greater part, a substantial part of Portmore at the time, I experienced that as member of Parliament. In fact, I even almost got thrown out of the St. Catherine Parish Council on one occasion in making representation to the Parish Council on issues that were strictly of a local government nature. What the residents of Portmore, not the PNP administration, not the PNP government, but the people of Portmore sought to have is an independent, dedicated local authority to address those local government issues for itself without having to go to St. Catherine. That was the objective. So it was created to satisfy a particular need. It was goals-oriented. In fact, we were never caught up with a designation of parish, county, republic, or anything like that. What we wanted was an authority to provide the local government services. That's what we got. The residents of Portmore never said they didn't want to be a part of St. Catherine. Never at any time. Being separated from St. Catherine's on the table. What they wanted is a local authority to attend to all those local government issues. That is what they got.
All right, we're going to get a response shortly. When we need to take a break right now. The discussion is heating up. Please stay with us. The RJRGLEANER virtual town hall continues after this break. Oh, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. This is the RJRGLEANER virtual town hall on Portmore becoming the 15th parish. Let's throw over to Kirk Wright, who is actually in Portmore. And Kirk, I know the people there have lots of questions. What do you have for us?
And I realize the discussion in studio is heating up. We have a couple of people here. I should say good afternoon on behalf of the people in Portmore. We have some of them here with us who have some burning questions. First, we have Dina Watson-Richards, and she's the president of the Phoenix Vista Citizen Association. She's also Justice of the Peace, and she shared some concerns with me earlier on, which includes no fire truck or just one fire truck in Portmore. Ms. Richards, you want to tell us exactly what your concerns are? Ask your question.
Good night. The residents of Portmore, we are not against the parish status. However, we welcome that initiative. But we believe that there are some basic amenities that are lacking in Portmore, and we, the residents of Portmore, would like to see that fixed. With Portmore becoming parish, we're expecting some migration. Migration is going to take place. And so we would like the road infrastructure. We have a serious problem with traffic in Portmore. And with new developments in Portmore and Portmore becoming a parish, we are expecting that it's going to be a bottleneck with traffic.
What would be your question to the panel in studio, though?
What plans they have to widen the roads or make new roads in Portmore. Another thing is that Portmore is the largest English-speaking community in the Caribbean, and we only have one fire station. What plans do you have to put in place more fire stations in Portmore? We don't have an hospital. Portmore is lacking in so many things. The garbage disposal in Portmore is atrocious. Portmore residents are paying tax and the garbage is not being collected on time. We the residents of Portmore, for a long time have been asking for a subsidy in the toll. We have to pay toll to get home. We are asking government, can they subsidize? Once we can prove that we are residents of Portmore, can the toll be subsidized for Portmore residents?
Thank you very much there. Ms. Richards making some suggestions and also asking a question. It's over to you in studio.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Terrelong, I will have you respond to some of what she said. And then Alric, we need to talk about the municipalities. Are you going to take responsibility for some of the issues in Portmore? We're talking about the bad roads. Some of the roads are under the purview of the municipality. So that is one. And the overall development. Is it that the municipality is ready to say, listen, we have to take some responsibility of some of the development concerns in the municipality?
Certainly. All right, so the municipality of Portmore certainly has some responsibility, but we act within certain limitations as well. The fact is that when we approve plans, for example, and I'll address what is one of the topical issues, the roads, we depend on other agencies, right? The National Works Agency, for example. And so within our own remit, we have the ability to implement conditions of approval. And so we ensure that we use these conditions of approval to ensure that the infrastructure that is put in place alleviate to some extent some of the traffic. But on the main roads, it is the responsibility of the National Works Agency. We play our part with the internal roads, right? Some of them are in a deplorable condition too. And the result is that how we receive our revenue from property taxes and so on, and the kilometer the square kilometers plays a factor. And so those roads that are within the communities is our primary responsibility. When we get our PRF, that is the main parochial revenue fund, when we get it, a portion of it is divided to deal with road patching. And so there are times when it will take months for us to get it in Portmore. And so this affects our ability as well to continue.
So, Mr. Terrelong?
You know, JP, it's very interesting just listening to Alric to my right here. What I will say is that it makes a difference who represents the people. Prior to 2016, the PNP enjoyed decades, 3 decades of uninterrupted control of Portmore. Between 1980 and 2016, 36 years, I am the first member of the Jamaica Labour Party to have been elected by the people of Portmore. Since then, I have done over 35 roads in Portmore. Residents of Cedar Grove can attest to that. Residents of Watson Grove, residents of Newlands, residents of Portmore Lane, residents of Gregory Park, residents of Independence City, across the full gamut of East Central St. Catherine, we have brought road. Where was the will for all those decades leading up to 2016? It was absent. When you have a political party that feels that we control Portmore a PNP place, and now we lock it off, they treat the people with disdain.
I want to bring in Mr. Jackson on this.
Before you bring in,
yeah, sure.
Speaking about the roads that Miss Dina Watson-Richards speak about.
Right.
Before Christmas, I met with Mr. E.G. Hunter, Mr. Downer, and the team at NWA. And not only are we widening highways and byways in Portmore, we're also building new access roads into Portmore. So the plans are already afoot. So from Manors, by Mandela Manors, we're going to build an overhead bridge and a new accessway into Portmore. That is going to save residents of Portmore an additional 30 to 40 minutes in terms of traffic time. The Brayton, we're going to widen the road from Brayton, leading from Naggerhead, Brayton, Hellshire. That's going to be widened as well as from Grange Lane going back to Passage 4.
I like timelines, Mr. Terrelong. I like timelines.
We're scheduled to start the Grange Lane from the highway, Grange Lane, down to Augusta Drive. That is scheduled to start in March, all right? And our timelines continue throughout the year into next year as well to have these major developments. And for the people of Brayton Parkway, we're in discussions now to get the requisite funding to also widen Brayton Parkway because we understand the development that is coming there.
So does the municipality know this?
Of course the municipality
knows
this.
NWA a few weeks ago said there is no plan to widen Brayton Parkway.
Okay.
And as Mr. Terrelong rightly said though, those funds are funds from central government. And the fact is that Minister Warmington played a vital role in his ability to fix those roads. That is a fact.
Mr. Jackson, I would love to hear your own views on that, sir, because you have been there.
When I listen to my friend, Mr. Terrelong, the next thing he's going to tell is the JLP caused the sun to shine.
Yes, and we'll bring AC to Portmore.
And, it's an insult to the intelligence of the residents of Portmore. For example, he referred to Brayton Parkway. For over 3 years, and I have the written documentation for it, that NWA has been requested and promised to repair it, to widen it, to develop it. Before PriceSmart was set to come there to begin with, the same program that Mr. Terrelong referred to, the NWA and the minister scratched that from the program. It's when we begin to make up more noise about the discrimination that they have decided to now consider it. So, Mr. Terrelong is just come to Portmore. All that has happened in
and
Portmore
has done more work in Portmore than the collective lot of you all over the years.
If I may. We have Portmore as a developed area. It didn't happen overnight. It is the leadership and the representation from the political directorate at the local level and the national level that has caused Portmore not to be what it was 30 years ago. Portmore is a different place, completely different. And it didn't happen by chance. It happened because of strident representation from the political directorate. It's not a perfect place. Certainly, a lot more development needs to take place. And it's for that reason we are saying, rather than spend government resources and time to merely put a tag on Portmore, spend the time and the effort to enhance the development of Portmore so that the residents of Portmore can have an improved life over in that area.
All right, so we have a video question, Mr. Jackson. Let's go to that video question. We will come back to some of these comments that you just made.
Okay, my name is Jacqueline McDonald. I live in Kingston, but I sell here in Portmore. But my question to the authority is, why now? Why all these years? And what's the beneficiary from all of this?
Robert, why now? Very simple question. Why now?
It's a very good question, but why not? You know, the time is ripe. As my colleague stated, that the former mayor for Portmore, George Lee, wanted Portmore to become a parish. You know, it's very disorganized as it is. You know, residents in Cape Manners Estate can vote for the councillor in Portmore, but they can't vote for the mayor in Portmore. So their councillor is in Portmore and their mayor is in Spanish Town, Greater Spanish Town, so to speak. You know, and the lawlessness and the lack of planning that is in Portmore currently now, the local authority must take blame for that. You know, and I'm not hearing that from the opposition. For the opposition to make a comment by saying that it's politically motivated. You know, I'm wondering, because my colleague Minister Terry Long stated a short while ago that he has been in Portmore for a short period of time, but has done far more than what they have done collectively. And I've even seen it in Southeast St. Catherine, that the infrastructure in Portmore is lacking. There's no development, there's no planning. So why not giving the citizens of Portmore their autonomy to develop and think and build their parish of Portmore?
All right, now I see Mr. Jeffeth Williams, president of the Greater Portmore Joint Council. It looked like you really want to get a word in, so I will allow you to. We have spoken about so many issues, I think, but your own thoughts on the manner in which the process being used to make Portmore the 15th parish.
Okay, good evening again, and good evening to our listeners. Well, the real fact about it is that Portmore has suffered a long time, for a very long time. I'm listening to the discussions.
Yes.
And I'm hearing the discussion. We'll look at 30 years back, and we'll look at the issues from 30 years back to the issues now. And we'll look at, to be fair, both sides of the party would have gotten a fair chance to make a difference in the lives of the people of Portmore. If we talk about representation and we talk about persons from a long time ago asking these questions and making representation, it's not happening. The people of Portmore are not seeing it tangibly happening. When you sit in a traffic for 40 minutes, an hour, to get in or out of Portmore, that is not representation to the people of Portmore. When you also speak to the issue of persons wanting an hospital, people wanting our green areas, for example, we're the largest dormitory community. We're past dormitory now, in my view. The largest community, we have challenges, social challenges in Portmore. We have issue about green space. Persons don't have space to go out and kind of breathe. Portmore is hot. We speak about the mosquito problem. And Portmore is really a small geographical space. But the issues are large.
But Mr. Williams, I want you to answer when I come back from the break, how will becoming a parish fix that problem? I'm sure that you have some thoughts. Okay. So we're going to take a break, but we'll be right back. And welcome back to our virtual town hall meeting. We are discussing the plans to make Portmore the 15th parish. Now, we have been getting some questions and comments from social media. I think we have one or two. Can I read a few of the comments? Not just yet. Okay. So Jay says, what's going to be the capital of the parish?
Town centre.
The town centre will be the capital of the parish.
Voting for the town centre.
You're voting for the town centre.
Yes.
Okay. Janoi is asking, are we going to have an election once it's official? Because I'm assuming new constituencies will be formed. Now, I think one of the provisions is that a parish must have at least 2 constituencies, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and we already have three constituencies. You'll recall I mentioned earlier that Portmore has more constituencies than 4 other parishes. So, for example, Hanover, Trelawney, Portland, St. Thomas, they have 2. Portmore has 3. But even the point about the hospital, JP, the Prime Minister, the Prime Minister has stated categorically that St. Catherine will get another hospital. We were thinking of Old Harbour, but the decision has now been made for that hospital to be in Portmore. So we can assure the residents of Portmore that the hospital will come and it will be in Portmore.
Yeah, but we like timelines, Mr. Terrelong. When is the groundbreaking for that hospital?
You know what? I can speak to the Minister of Finance and we can and get a timeline.
All right. Mr. Miller, you wanted to add something to
I was
that?
saying, bearing in mind that you had mentioned 2 constituencies.
Right.
And currently it's 3 in Portmore. But it's not a criteria for it to be a parish to have at least 2 constituencies.
All right, so I want Mr. Williams to pick up on where he left off. So you're saying that over the years, is it poor representation on behalf of the people of Portmore?
I would say poor leadership.
Poor leadership.
In some instances. I believe, however, that the outstanding issues could be addressed and can be addressed if we have consultation, proper consultation. I know some consultation was made with the people about the parish as always, but more to look at some in-depth issues in Portmore. We have the issue of crime. We have the issue since COVID to deal with child abuse, sexual issues in terms of domestic violence, gender-based violence. We look at our own social well-being in Portmore. So we need to look into those areas. But for the parish to be a parish and for Portmore to be a parish, I hope that some of the issues can be addressed as Portmore becomes a parish. Why? I hope that the same amount of agencies that the other parishes would have had, like the Ministry of Health, a health department, NWA, National Solid Waste Management Authority, and all the other amenities, ARADA, for example, as agriculture is booming, once we would have addressed the boundaries. And the boundary issues should have been addressed a long time ago. An attempt was made some time ago to address the boundaries. It was not done in the correct way, and the courts would have decided that it was not the correct way, and they did make a ruling, and they made a ruling on that. What we want to see now, and the question is whether we are going along the same boundaries that were already disallowed by the courts. And so if that is the case, we would have more lands for development. We're looking at universities. We're looking at cemeteries. We're looking at broader expansion of businesses and industries to benefit Portmore more. And so if the parish, if becoming a parish, will bring those to Portmore, then it's a good thing for Portmore. I have spoken to a lot of people, and a lot of people are saying that they have no problem with Portmore becoming the parish. The issue of Portmore becoming the parish is not really the big argument. The argument is the outstanding issues of a long period of time that have not been addressed, and we need them to be addressed. And timelines are critical.
Critical.
Very critical. A lot of promises were made from the municipal status when 2003, when we became municipal. Promises were made, promise not kept about the development of Portmore. Now we're at a juncture where we're talking about parish. We need some timelines. That's what the people are saying. We need to have some timelines on those. The traffic management, the amount of traffic that passes through Portmore, and the air quality, the compromised air quality. Now, Portmore is between Kingston and St. Andrew, the second and the third largest other urban center. And things that happens in Kingston and St. Catherine, the greater St. Catherine, will affect Portmore. Again, if we were to have a disaster in Portmore, that's why how critical the hospital is. If there's a disaster in Portmore, we cannot move out fast enough because of the poor infrastructure of the roads.
All right, I want to bring in urban planner, Dr. Carol Archer right now. Dr. Archer, in terms of the development and what it can look like, what is the first thing that needs to be done? We hear the issue of roads and traffic coming up very regularly, as well as the issue of green spaces. So what needs to happen now to give Portmore that look? This is a parish in this century for sure.
Right. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. But I think we need to put the discussion in a context as it relates to planning. What we're seeing in Portmore is referred to as conurbation or agglomeration, where you have the continuous development from Kingston to Spanish Town, even as far as Maypen. So this is typical growth and development of urban center. So to say that based on that growth, then it needs to be accelerated to parish status is somewhat problematic based on the scholarship, based on the research elsewhere in terms of how cities grow and develop. So I think that's first need to be considered. This is typical what you see in terms of urban development, the clustering, the concentration of industry, population, expansion of network, supported by affordable housing stock. That's what we're seeing in Portmore. Now, as we look to manage the development, I think what we need to do is to ask ourselves, what is the appropriate governance and management framework to manage this type of urban growth? So that is critical. When we look at what currently exists in terms of the parish structure and the municipalities within the parish structure to manage, we find that that is problematic. Why is it problematic? It is problematic because we do not have what is being argued as necessary, as essential at the local government level. That is autonomy. Autonomy for local government to manage, to handle their affairs. We do not have autonomy at the local government level. We still have full control, full management by central government, right? And so some of the things that are now able to happen is because central government can dictate and local government in many instances are left out of the loop. So we need to change that dynamic. We need to change that structure. Why we need to change that structure and give more autonomy to the municipality at the local level, that is what is required. We in Jamaica, we signed to the new urban agenda that says, look, we are going to empower our local government so that they can be able to make decisions to allow for more green spaces, expansion of their local road network, provision of basic urban services. At this point, local government still, they have to go hat in hand to central government to seek the support.
Sure.
They also have to rely on property taxes. We do not, we are yet to have proper valuation of our property or lands so that the municipal government can benefit from the property taxes. Until that is done, whether we have a parish or we have poor municipality, there's not much that can be done without changes to the management and the governance structure within Jamaica.
All right, Dr. Archer, I think Mr. Miller wanted to comment on something that you said. Mr. Millen, go ahead.
I think basically that Dr. Archer, who is a very good friend of mine, is not in touch with the autonomy that the local government authority has. For example, as a member of parliament for Southeast St. Catherine, when the Prime Minister gives us certain funding or the government to do during the Christmas time, to do drain cleaning or bushing, I have to write a letter to the municipal council to advise them of the gullies that I want to clean and where I want to bush, and they have to give me permission to do so. If I want to do a green area, I have to get permission from the municipal council, right? So the autonomy of the municipal council is there. As a matter of fact, the municipal council is in charge of the planning for the area.
Mr. Campbell, respond to
Right?
that for me
So
now.
when you look at the area as Portmore Mall, which is the area that the deputy mayor governs in terms of a councillor for that area. You know, the lawlessness on the mall, you know, the igloos are everywhere. It's the only mall in the Caribbean you find that. You know, why is it that the municipal council is not preparing a proper market where people can sell and a proper taxi stand where the taxis can go?
I will
autonomy.
hold on, Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Please respond.
It is clear that MP Miller is out of touch, as he said, with local government. Firstly, I want to agree with Dr. Archer with respect to the lack of autonomy. And I'll give practical examples. When the trade licenses are collected, when the property tax is collected, it goes to the Ministry of Local Government for the minister to then send back. If we had autonomy, the same way the Inland Revenue Department would have collected and calculated what portion should be sent to us, it could be sent directly. It does not operate like that. It goes to the Ministry of Local Government, who then, at the minister's will, sends to the local authorities. So autonomy is really needed. We have autonomy over planning issues with respect to building developments and so on. But that is as far as it goes.
That's what I said.
And I'm saying that is as far as it goes.
Over planning.
And if the minister can,
as well.
and it has done, it has, no, it has happened before where we would have disallowed a building proposal for a proposal plan for building, and an appeal would have gone to the minister, and the minister, who is in charge of lands, by the way, has the power of appeal.
For example, the opposition is saying no, Portmore cannot become a parish because we don't have a market. We don't have this, we don't have that. And they are responsible for planning.
Actually, we are not saying that. We are saying that these things can happen without Portmore becoming a parish. That is what we are saying.
It would appear that Mr. Jackson wants to come in. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. I want us to go back to a question that has remained unanswered. What is it that can come, what will come to Portmore or needs a parish designation to Portmore?
Nothing.
We are conflating a couple of things. If you want to talk about representation, talk about that. When you talk about parish designation, it has nothing to do with representation.
Right.
Let us be clear. They cannot answer why is it that a parish designation is of any value. But I want to go back to a core point that Alric raised. I happen to have been there when the consultation was taking place. None of those other two gentlemen, Mr. Williams, nor Mr. Terrelong, nor Mr. Miller, ever participated in those community discussions to bring about the municipality. They are strangers to that process.
You're referring to a 2003 process, and that is the problem. Every single time, hold on. Every single time the PNP speak about any matter. One second, Mr. Jackson, because you've spoken about me and Robert Miller in 2003. It is not 2003.
We are saying
not
we
in the
want that
pipeline.
process.
It's not 2003. We're not going to be stuck in the pipeline, and we're not going to derail the development.
But we want the citizens to participate.
Listen, hang on. George Lee, when he was mayor, he envisioned Portmore becoming a parish. Bruce Golding, Edward Fiaga, Andrew Holness, they have all said so, and we're moving ahead with it. You yourself in Parliament, Member Jackson, said that you are not opposed to the idea of Portmore becoming a parish, but you don't think the time is ready. So when will the time be ready? It is 20 years since 2003. You yourself said in Parliament, Member Jackson, that you are not opposed to Portmore becoming a parish, but you don't think now is the time. So when is the time? Should we wait another 20 years?
Well, I know, gentlemen, we're talking about time, and it's time for me to take a break, okay? So we're going to come back. The discussion is heating up. We want to take some more questions from Kirkwright, who is in Portmore. Lots to answer. What is the benefit of Portmore becoming a parish?
It is financial as well, and we'll touch on that.
All right. So we take a break. We'll soon come back. And welcome back, and thanks for staying us. This is the RJRGLEANER virtual town hall on Portmore becoming the 15th parish. We now go over to Kirk Wright, who is in Portmore, and we have another question from one of the residents. Kirk?
I should tell you, Janella, that while things are warming up in studio, we're taking it easy out here in Portmore, and there are no mosquitoes yet. But we have a question from Norman Walker. He is the president of the Sunshine City Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Walker, what would be your question?
Thank you very much, Kurt. Welcome to Portmore, and thanks for adding the Sunshine City Chamber of Commerce to this conversation. Good evening to your listeners in this, here and who is watching. We have two burning issues which I want to mention tonight.
Quickly.
And one is the question of crime. Crime is on the rise in this municipality. We are not comfortable from the chamber's position that the matter is being addressed effectively.
So the first question is, what will be done about crime? What's the next question?
We are extremely concerned about that. My second question is, development in Portmore is moving at a pace that the infrastructure has not kept a pace. We have a major wholesalers coming in short order. I shudder to think what's going to happen to the traffic.
Thank you very much, sir. So the questions are crime, what will be done about crime, and the traffic, the congestion. Studio?
All right, thank you so much. Alric, I will have you talk about crime because I know that at your municipal meetings, you normally get presentations from the police. Very serious matter. What's the assurance that you have been getting as a municipality from the police in terms of, curbing the crime monster in Portmore?
Well, we have not had many assurances. Quite frankly, there's not much that the police is able to do. At our last General Council meeting, the Superintendent Nicholson, who represented the JCF there, indicated that he agrees that there are socioeconomic concerns relating to the crime. A lot of persons also who are known to be criminals are also moving into the formal and quote-unquote upscale communities, gated communities within the municipality. And so whilst there is intelligence to indicate, they are also asking the public to be wary of your neighbors, and to ensure that you tell the police any activity that you see that may be untoward. But they can give no assurances. The fact is, 100-man police station is too small for Portmore now, right? And we know that there are satellite stations, but the vehicles that they have, the number of policemen, the foot patrolling, probably Portmore would need to be a division by itself. But the point is, going back to the original point, there is absolutely nothing that the government is proposing to do for Portmore that needs the designation of a parish for it to happen. Nothing at all. Dr. Wheatley said there is no requirement for anything to come. No assurance that there must be a courthouse, there must be a hospital, etc. The reverse is also true. There is absolutely no need for a parish designation for those benefits to accrue to the residents of Portmore.
Mr. Terrelong?
JP, you started out tonight's discussion by speaking about politics, all right? And all I'm hearing from the opposition really is politics. And I'll tell you how they're playing politics with the people of Portmore and why they want to be stuck in 2003 and not move forward into 2022 and beyond.
Rubbish.
When Portmore becomes a parish, all you want, Papa.
Rubbish.
When Portmore becomes a parish, yes, the councillors, the 12 councillors who sit not only in Portmore Municipal Council, but also who also sit in Spanish Town, they will no longer sit in Spanish Town. They will sit in the parish of Portmore alone. All right? What the PNP are afraid of, they're afraid of losing St. Catherine, and based on the fact that Portmore now has two, for the first time in 40 years, Portmore now has two members of Parliament representing the Jamaica Labour Party, myself and MP Miller. The people of Portmore have given the government its mandate. Making Portmore the 15th parish was a part of our election manifesto, and the people said, guess what? Portmore prosper under Terry Long, yeah? And we're going to bring in Miller, and we're going to show them that, yes, with 2 members of parliament representing the Jamaica Labour Party in Portmore, there will be a change. And a part of that change is moving Portmore, you know, from the haphazard way in which the municipality has functioned and making Portmore a parish. That will also see increase in revenue. When you speak about one of our residents, Dina, spoke about taxes as well. Portmore is the most tax compliant locale in all of Jamaica. More than 96% of the residents of Portmore pay their property taxes and so forth. When you talk about the over 200,000 residents and you talk about vehicle and taxes that the municipality can earn from in terms of like registration and all those things, yes, Portmore stands to benefit. We're not sure. Portmore would no longer be splitting funds with the wide of St. Catherine, because a part of the parochial revenue fund is that a particular percentage stays in a particular section, it is shared, the length of road is counted, and all of those things. Portmore's money will now stay in Portmore, and Portmore becomes a parish.
Mr. Terrelong,
goes towards
that is not the case.
I see Mr. Jackson shaking his head. I don't know,
well,
but go ahead.
Yes. Because Portmore is a part of St. Catherine, there are 41 divisions. So whatever the figure is each month, it is divided as a fraction, 1241 of that. And so that 1241, that amount comes because there are 12 divisions in Portmore. So it is just for the calculation. The only way the amount of money will change is if we have the boundaries being extended. So we'll have more roads inside of Portmore. The same amount will come, whether it is a parish or not.
I want Mr. Jackson, but whilst we wait to bring him back on the screen, I think that we have another question. Yes. Oh, but Mr. Jackson is producer. Yes. Just 1 second. Let Mr. Jackson respond to Mr. Terrelong, please.
You know, the records of the select committee is there to confirm. The Ministry of Local Government and all the agencies that appear before the Joint Select Committee, the JCF, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the NWA, the NWC, all of the agencies have made it clear, and it's in the records of the minutes, that none of their service delivery will be changed by a parish designation. They say if the government decides to change the designation, so shall it be. Right. The service delivery is determined by demand and it's determined by resource allocation. But specifically, and it is disingenuous for Mr. Terrelong to give the impression that if it becomes a parish, there will be more revenue. The Ministry of Local Government made it emphatically clear it will have neither negative or positive impact on the revenue.
Yes, it said so at the Townhall. It was said at the Townhall.
No,
Mr. Rupert Price said it at the Townhall.
The funds will increase. The funds, and you know what? The very fact that we were designated a parish, it means that what? Portmore will now have its own parish court. Portmore will have its own hospital and the likes. So there will be greater changes once the status of a parish is designated for Portmore.
You shout loud, you're not going to be more truthful, you know.
Right.
I can't respond. I didn't hear it.
As a matter of fact,
I said the louder your shout does not make for more truth.
No problem.
That sounds like a 2003 comment. It's 2022.
I was present at all the Joint Select Committee meeting. As a matter of fact, what the JCF said, and that was a concern of the president of the Chamber of Commerce, what the JCF said is that they would have to change their management. And chances are Portmore will have his own division, because right now St. Catherine South spread all the way to Wall Harbour. Portmore becoming a parish, they said they would have to change their management, and Portmore will have its own division, which is better for Portmore.
Mr. Miller, you were on the Joint Select Committee. Are you prepared or are you willing to have more consultations, or would you say that this is a done deal? We're going to the Senate now so that we can, continue with the process. Are you prepared to say?
I wouldn't say it's a done deal. Consultation is ongoing. We had consultation.
I know, but I'm asking, are you willing to
I've always had consultation with even my citizen associations personally. The consultation is there. We had it in the Joint Select Committee. We asked persons to send in contribution. We extended the time.
Yes.
It was properly announced. We had 2 town hall meetings. We didn't have much because of the pandemic. And
but we met on Zoom, though. So we met on Zoom. We got emails. Persons were writing in the newspaper. You know, I mean, the media itself. You guys spoke about it. You spoke about all the Joint Select Committee meetings. So there was consultation.
So hold on. I have a very important question. Of the 200,000 residents in Portmore, what percentage of the population would you say participated in the consultation?
Okay, so I can't give you the percentage. What I can say, though, is that a significant number of persons would have written emails to the Parliament. Persons would have written in both the two biggest daily newspapers. A lot of persons would have participated on and off on the Zoom platform as well. And because of the COVID, we had taken advantage of technology. So even when we speak about Portmore becoming a technology parish, a parish that is built on technology, we're talking about the Mr. Chamber of Commerce, Sunshine Chamber of Commerce, using the natural sunshine and providing, high-tech solar efficiency for the running of Portmore becoming the 15th parish. This is the vision that the Prime Minister and the government of Jamaica has for the development of Portmore.
So what I want to know, are we talking about 50,000 people? Because I think that would have been a generous...
Yes.
Are we talking about 20,000 people, 50,000 people?
25%, 10%. 100 people?
What I will say, JP, is that everybody was aware of it, based on media advertisements and so forth. But you know how, typically you might be aware of something and you say, yeah, boy, I don't have a problem with it, so I won't say anything. But remember, Member Jackson himself in Parliament said, I have no issue with Portmore becoming a parish, but I just don't think now is the right time because it's JLP doing it.
What Member Jackson is saying now is that persons that came to the Joint Select Committee that are saying that they wouldn't change anything is the context in which it was said.
Okay.
It was said that there is no problem for Portmore to become a parish because the systems are in place to do that.
And the majority of persons gave representation at the Joint Select Committee. They agreed that yes, Portmore must become a parish.
Mr. Jackson.
Oh, yes, you were there. Yeah, I saw you.
Let me say what I said in Parliament, and the answer can substantiate it. I have made it clear. The municipality that we have was not imposed by the PNP government for which I was a part. The PNP didn't, or the MPs didn't impose it on it. The residents of Portmore, through a very extensive process of consultation, took the decision what they wanted. I, along with Dr. Paul Roberts and the government, facilitated that. What I have said in Parliament, which I'll repeat here, if out of that process of consultation, there is a clear decision by the residents that this is what they want, I have a duty to facilitate that. But it ought not to be foisted on the people to fulfill some other objective.
All right, I want to bring in the mayoral aspirant, Markland Edwards, who's been sitting here for a while, ladies and gentlemen. But we want him to get a word in. Markland, you are aspiring to be a mayor. Your own views on this debate about Portmore becoming the 15th parish, and you have 30 seconds.
Well, good debate, good discussions, and of course, as you've heard, they've had consultation with the people, and I know Portmore. I'm a resident of Portmore for many years. If they didn't want it, they would be out there already blocking streets and carrying on and making a lot of noise, right? And with all that is being promised, and as Mr. Terlong mentioned earlier on, there's no prerequisite as it relates to parish designation. So there's a cemetery in Portmore. One is in Brayton, believe it or not, Brayton Methodist Church. There's a cemetery right there. We can talk about the market. We have a hospital coming. The Prime Minister said he was going to put a hospital in Portmore. And we have development coming into Portmore. We can make Portmore the smart city, the smart parish, using technology to do things because the pandemic teaches us all of that. We've been using smart devices and internet and Wi-Fi to connect right across Portmore. Right now we have USF going around distributing, setting up Wi-Fi sites in Portmore. So that's good. And we can make Portmore the 15th parish, and this would be a good gift as we celebrate our 60th anniversary of independence. You know, so if it's good for the people, why not make it happen? Mr. Fitzjackson is the only man against this parish status.
And Alric.
It's about 20 years in the making.
And Alric.
So why not?
What
No,
the
Alric
people
wants
saying?
it.
What
Alric
the- what-
wants
what
it.
are the- what
Alric
are-
wants it.
what are the people saying?
Alric wants it.
What are the
People
people
want
saying?
it. And development's coming into
They didn't get
Portmore.
that chance
So
to say.
why not make it happen? People, the jobs are coming in, the BPOs are there, and if we can work with the government and make things happen and make it better for Portmore, roads are coming, right? So it can only be good for the people of Portmore. It can only be better.
And I'm sure you're disappointed in your member of parliament.
Very disappointed.
Let me go to a social media.
Just ask your question, please, Madam Moderator.
Yes.
Yes, a burning question here because I listened to the representatives.
Yes.
And
Dr. Archer, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought. We need to take a quick break and we're going to start. When we come back, we're going to start with you and that question.
Okay, thank you.
All right, great. We need to take a break. Things are heating up in studio. So many issues, so many questions. My producer, I apologize for not listening to you, but I mean, we'll be right back. Gentlemen, we're back. We're back live. We're back live. Thank you for staying with us. Let's go to Dr. Archer. She has a burning question. Go ahead, Dr. Archer.
Yes. I asked the elected representatives, where is the evidence for either a parish or not a parish? I asked this question because I recall at the time when the municipality was being considered, we were approached at the university and asked to do trend analysis, projections for population, land use. And we, as academic institutions, we were at the table providing data analysis, looking at various forms in terms of municipal status. And we informed the government of the day because that's what academics do. Again, we were invited to be at the table to look at local government reform. There was a committee chaired by then Professor Neville Duncan and others from UWI. And we studied different approaches to local government and made some recommendations, which I know the government is privy to that research. I am yet to see the research, I'm yet to see the evidence that is saying whether we should go one way or the other. The research that I have done thus far is questioning the proposed status, but at least I have done some evidence-based studies to say where we should go. So I asked the elected officials at the municipal level and in central government, where is your data that is informing your decision?
Mr. Miller, I'm going to ask you to take that. You can start.
Very good question. I've had dialogue with my citizen associations. I've had meetings with them. And for the most part, majority of the constituents of Southeast St. Catherine wants a parish status. You know, that's my data, that's my research that I've used. You know, I've sat on the Joint Select Committee. Out of the 28 contributions that we got, out of the 28 persons that wrote to the Joint Select Committee, only 4 persons were not in agreement with the parish status, which includes the 4 elected representatives on the opposition side, right, from the Portmore Municipal Council. You know, I've had discussion with citizens of the constituency, and for the most part, they're in favor for Portmore becoming the 15th parish.
And I go back to my earlier point about the numbers. I'm curious to find out, you know, out of the 200,000, because that is what the census is saying, 200,000, what percentage? You speak about the 28 the people who wrote, but it would. I'm curious to find out. Or is it that people just don't care?
You know what I think, JP? I think that the people of Portmore, they trust the government. They trust that the government will make, the elected government that they've given a mandate, will make the right decisions for the growth and development of Portmore.
But Alric is shaking his head,
And
as if to say no.
I am saying that there is nothing that the elected government is proposing to do that requires the place to be called a parish before it can be done.
Again, there is absolutely no distinguishing feature, or there are no prerequisites to say that this has to be in place, this has to be in place. There's absolutely
that
none.
is my point.
There is no blueprint.
That is my point.
We are
My
developing a blueprint for the creation of the 15th parish in our 60th year.
My point
That is what a responsible and mature government does.
My point
we are not going to let Portmore be stuck in the pipeline of poverty and neglect for any longer.
Do we know what the municipal status
We
were?
now have 2 members of parliament
Did we review
Long
municipal
gone are the
status?
days when we had no member of parliament
Have we
representing
reviewed
the
municipal
Jamaica Labour
status in
Party.
Portmore?
And we are going ahead
Was
with the
municipal
plan. The
status a failure? We
consultation
don't know.
was done,
And it was
we are
promised
going
to us that we would do a review.
This all
of
has
the
this
municipal
hinges
status,
on them losing St. Catherine Parish Council.
All right. Okay.
That is why
so,
they are playing politics with it. That is the only reason why you're...
All right. So gentlemen, hold on. We need to go to Kirk Wright, who is in Portmore. Another resident has a question. Kirk?
Of the Portmore Municipality Youth Council. Theonia, you have a question.
Okay, good night, everyone. I've been a resident of Portmore all of my life, so I was around when Portmore got its municipality status, and I do remember residents being more involved in the process. My question really is, why have the residents of Portmore been given the chance to be involved in the decision making? Now we have active youth clubs, citizens associations, senior citizens association, and I feel like none of these persons were brought to the table in terms of making the decision itself. And I keep hearing the member of parliament for my constituency saying that persons have written, that was 28 people. I was a part of the last Townhall, virtual Townhall, 6 persons were allowed to speak. I feel like residents of Portmore haven't been given a voice to really say whether we want the parish status or not.
Thank you very much, Theona. Studio?
Can I ask a question, JP? One second. Can I ask a question? First of all, bless up yourself. I absolutely love our young people. I think you all are not just the present, but you're the future of Jamaica. But when we speak about advocacy and you represent a youth cohort, did you write to the Gleaner or the Observer, or did you call any radio program to voice your concerns prior to now?
All right, so just bear with us. There's a 3-second delay, but she will respond to your question.
Go ahead.
Oh, I can
Go
go?
ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good night, Mr. Terrelong.
Good night.
Well, I feel as if you're being very aggressive towards me as a young person. Trying to
I
voice
just beat
my
you
opinion.
up on your advocacy.
No, I did not write to the Gleaner or anything like that. I feel like I voiced my opinion to my counselor. I feel like I've even spoken to other persons who are in my community, as I'm a member of a youth club, and we want to be a part of the decision making in the municipality that we reside in. We don't want it to be left up to members of parliament who don't even live here.
So, so would you say that the process of consultation, therefore, would you say that it was a little bit flawed? And again, Mr. Miller, I would ask, are you prepared to go back to the citizens to get feedback from them?
Well, I'm saying that it's ongoing. I would not say it's a failure. You know, persons were given opportunity to give their contribution.
So you're willing to go back? So like
I've always been doing it. I've been doing it.
Okay, Marklon, you wanted to come in?
And MP Miller said it earlier on, because of the pandemic, right? You weren't able to have, you know, town hall meetings like going to the Portmore Heart Academy, going across to Gregory Park, or even up by Greater
And I understand that, but the restrictions have been eased.
Exactly.
So are you willing to go back to the people?
I believe what is the best way forward now is to engage the people, engage the young people, engage the residents of Portmore. It's actually a done deal that it's going to be a parish. However, as we move forward, we can hear the voice and the words of the voice of the people, the concerns, and just move the process as we go along, because the infrastructure that are coming in, the jobs that are coming in for the young people, and all that we can do in Portmore. I mean, there's a whole lot we can do, so we don't want to stay here all night and be back and forth between.
I think consultation is a major thing. It's like a recurring theme,
and continue the conversation and
you
to
know
hear what they want.
And you know what? And what I want everyone to realize is that Portmore, let's just bring it back a bit. Portmore loses absolutely nothing by becoming a parish. Portmore loses nothing by becoming a parish. The only person who loses something by Portmore becoming a parish is the opposition, who are playing politics with the growth and development of Portmore.
But aren't you playing politics as well?
No,
but
we're
aren't
not.
you playing?
No, we are not. We are talking about growth and development. Ministry of Justice. When Portmore becomes a parish, Portmore gets its brand new courthouse.
It doesn't have to become a parish to get it.
Yes, because it has to be.
Yes,
because
for a parish court.
Needs a parish
for
court.
A parish court.
Exactly.
Not for
my brother. You are
not for a brand new courthouse.
We're talking about a parish court.
You said a brand new courthouse.
Yes, but it must be brand new. Come on, man. Let me teach you something.
No.
So Portmore gets a brand new parish church.
Dare you?
Parish court.
No, you're talking. Right.
Portmore gets, as the police officers would have indicated, Portmore now gets its division. It's no longer part of the South St. Catherine or South this or North, whatever. Portmore now becomes a division by itself. Increased resources, etc. Portmore also gets its hospital. What we need to understand is that how Jamaica has developed over the last 400 years. Yes, the British did not leave a blueprint as to say, well, how do we develop parishes and they created parishes and took back parishes at will. Unlike, let's say, the development of Canada and Australia, where they intended to live and they left the blueprint at hand. We, as a responsible government, we have said we are creating a parish. We're doing it this way. The consultation process was had.
But are you willing? Everything that you just said, Mr. Terrelong, very important. But are you willing to go back to the people to explain to them just that?
So we are moving into now the next phase, which is giving people the education process to say these are the benefits of becoming a parish. These are the added things that will be done when Portmore becomes a parish. And also, very key, Portmore loses nothing by becoming a parish. One gentleman spoke about a green space. There is a dust bowl. Yes, that's supposed to be a climate park for the last 20 years. Nothing has happened. Do you want to know what happened last year? Last year, we met with UDC. Again, we had consultation via Zoom, etc. And UDC is going to build an amazing green space area with theatre space and everything in that former dust bowl, just like we did in Montego Bay with that brand new spanking park in Montego Bay. The Jamaica Labour Party is about the growth and development of the people of Portmore. We now left nothing in the pipeline.
All right, so we have another question. Kalisha? Yes? We have another question.
Tired of the pipeline.
From Kirk in Portmore. Seems as if we're going to need some more time. Kirk, it's over to you.
Good. Thank you very much, Janella. We have now with us Hazel Jackson Irwin, and she is a justice of the peace from Marine Park. What's your question tonight?
Okay, I want to make a statement, not really a question. Good night, everyone. I'm Hazel Jackson Irving, and I'm president of the Marine Park Citizens Association, and I also represent the Brayton Division. I am saying that we were not consulted. And as a president of a Citizens Association and a resident of over 42 years in Portmore, I think we should be consulted more. We should have a say in what is happening. Okay?
Thank you very much.
And I'm speaking with the authorities and asking them to get us into the pipeline of consultation.
I blame the member of parliament for that division for not having told the people. Who is the member of parliament over there? The member of parliament should have advised the people that this was happening if they did not know.
And he was
told
28 people.
To all my community leaders.
28 people.
Okay, so we have...
I spoke to all of them.
Okay, so we have 2 more minutes left. And I think I will just go to closing statements. I know that you have a lot to say, but I would like to start with Dr. Archer. I don't know if we can start with Dr. Archer first. If not, we can start with Markland. Yes, Dr. Archer, your closing statements.
Yes. I think
keep it tight, please, because we're running out of time.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, it's very clear that we really need to get back to the drawing table. And the time is allowing for it. We are devoid of research. We are devoid of evidence to inform our policies, to inform our direction. So I really ask our elected officials to allow for, yes, you have the consultation or you are extending it, it is necessary, but you do need data. And based on what has been said, there is no evidence that you have collected and you have analyzed data to say this is the way that we will go.
All right.
And if we don't have that, we are failing our people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Archer. Mr. Jackson, your final moments, your words,
yes. I would simply recommend to the government, table a white paper, set out what are the particular benefits to be accrued from the designation, how improve structural changes is proposed to be made, allow for deliberations to take place among the technical people and the community leaders across Portmore, come back to Parliament after that consultation and proceed. Whatever that process throws up, I am fully in support of it.
All right, so would it be Mr. Miller or Mr. Terrelong who will do the final?
All right, what I will say is that as a government, we have thought it through. Portmore has absolutely nothing to lose by becoming a parish. In fact, Portmore has a lot to gain by becoming a parish. We're talking about greater financial autonomy. We're talking about greater resources in terms of finances. We're talking about greater development. We're talking about a greater cohesion in terms of the structural development and infrastructural development of Portmore. As I've indicated, NWA has planned out a wide network to expand the highways and the roads, overhead bridges, to reduce traffic in Portmore by between 30 to 40 minutes. So in all of this, it's the people of Portmore that benefit. We've been toying with the idea of making Portmore a parish for more than 20 years now. It is not fair to the people and for the growth and development of Portmore to have Portmore Parish status be stuck in the pipeline for another 20 years. We will be moving forward.
Deputy Mayor.
Right, we believe that.
Deputy. Oh, okay. I was told that. Do we have time for the Deputy Mayor? No? Okay. That's a wrap, gentlemen. Thank you so much. A very robust debate, and I do hope that it will continue because we have to go through the various stages. Thanks to all our guests and you at home for watching, listening, and participating. On behalf of the news and production teams, I'm Janella Precious. Pleasant viewing.